Greetings and salutations. My name is OJ as always, and welcome or welcome back to another episode of the Deadlockathon, a series of videos where I go over every single character in Valve's not so secret hidden game, Deadlock. I'll be going from Abrams to Yamato in alphabetical order, and please do keep in mind that everything I say in these videos is subject to change at a later date, as that is just kind of the nature with a game like Deadlock, which is a work in progress and still actively being worked on as we speak. But with that said, what I'll be going over in these videos is lore and personality, gameplay and abilities, as well as their design. And if you wish to play Deadlock or don't have access to it, you can add me on Steam and I will be giving out codes to the game for free, even though obviously you don't have to actually pay for it anyways, but you get what I mean. I'll throw my name up on Steam and I'll remember to do it this time, unlike I did in the last video, and yeah, you can just add me and I'll send you a code, but please do keep in mind that invites take about 1 to 2 days to actually come through. But with that said, our object of obsession, our character of choice for today, is none other than the scrap golem Bebop. Now, as I'll do in all of these videos, I would like to start off by reading Bebop's in-game background and discussing lore and his personality a bit. But with that said, his background reads as such. Forged by the hands of a widowed junkyard attendant, Bebop was more than just some scrap golem labourer. He was the son she couldn't have. Together, they would work in the iron yard during the day and listen to jazz at night. It was a predictable, if not comforting, routine. But now Bebop's creator has fallen ill, and while Miss Shelley wouldn't approve of the activities that Bebop does at night to pay for her medicine, what she doesn't know can't hurt her. That's relatively simple, gives us a reason for why we should care about Bebop and why he's doing the things he's doing. If you're curious, the activities he does at night is pit fighting. Specifically in a place called the Bear Pit, where he has a ongoing feud with another character known as Lash, having actually once beat the invincible Lash in a fight once before. Now, with his sort of background, that's about as much as there is for his background, by the way. There isn't again, this game is a work in progress, so there's probably not going to be too much lore until we can, sort out everything else. Lore doesn't come last, there has to be some, but you get what I mean. There's not, for most of these characters, there's probably not going to be a lot of lore. Some characters don't even have any. But with that said, I would like to talk about his personality. And for the most part, Bebop is a very polite fella. He has a sort of British accent to him, which does usually make me more inclined to like a character. I don't know why, probably because, well, I do know why, it's because I am British, but I don't know, something about British accents kind of just work for me. And not like, top of the morning to you laddie, that's Irish. That's not even Irish, but that's, you know who I'm on about when I say that's Irish. But yeah, Bebop is a polite fella. He's nice to nearly every single character in the game, and funny enough, here's a fun fact about him, he can actually speak French. The reason for that is because of his voice actor, or at least I would think it's because of his voice actor. Bebop, by the way, as I've said in the previous video, if there is a sort of pseudo-confirmed voice actor, I will mention it. Otherwise, it's up to speculation, but remember, the voice actors aren't actually set in stone for the most part. They're usually speculations or slips of the tongue or blah blah blah, but his voice actor, as we know, is JB Blanc, who some of you may know as Kano from Mortal Kombat, Caustic from Apex Legends, Vander from Arcane, Dojima from Persona 4, or a personal favourite of mine, my beloved Brom from League of Legends. I know, scary, I like a character from League, but come on man, it's Brom. How can you not like Brom? But yeah, JB Blanc is, I believe, French-British, which might be actually the reason why he can speak French. And for those wondering why I know that he speaks French, he has it in a interaction with Lady Geist, where she is seemingly upset with working with an automatron, and in French he replies, "Great, I'm stuck working with a bourgeois." That's kind of funny. I like Bebop a lot. He's a nice, polite fella. He just tries to be nice to everyone, unless, they're not nice to him, which is, a simple thing. Like someone like, say, Billy, who, yes, we'll get to next video. I've got a lot to say about him. Billy goes to make a comment on, Miss Shelley, his creator, and immediately he just replies with, "Shut your mouth, Billy, I'm not in the mood." Which, yeah, I like him. I like Bebop a lot, like personality-wise. he's a fun, kind fella. He's got a British accent, which obviously always kind of clicks with me more than, say, another accent would. Because, oh my god, that sounds like me. I can replicate some of his voice lines. Whoa. But yeah, you get what I mean. Bebop's a nice fella, and lore-wise, he's just... There's not many characters that kind of, like, dislike him outside of, oh, you're a robot. Ugh, boo. You're a scrap golem. Ugh, Tin Man. Boo. Like, the few characters that do dislike him outside of that are Lash. And we know why Lash doesn't like Bebop, because Bebop beat him in a fight and it hurt his ego. His incredibly large ego, mind you. But yeah, anyways, that's kind of his lore and his personality discussed. I would like to move on to his gameplay. And I said this in the last video, when it comes to gameplay, for me, it's easier to capture it both in OBS and capture my voice simultaneously, so I can show and talk at the same time. So if my voice sounds different when we transition to gameplay, I do apologise for that, but it makes life easier for me and will make life easier for you, I hope, because you'll be able to see what I'm talking about as I'm talking about it. With that said, I'll see you in 3 seconds. Right, so here we are in the sandbox mode, or the training range, whatever you wish to call it, to talk about Bebop's gameplay. And first things first, let's mention his actual weapon, which is, I didn't even know most of these weapons actually had names, by the way, until this new update with these little menu screens. It's called the Humble Pie, which, as you can see, there is no gun in Bebop's hand. That is until you aim down sights. And as you can see, there is a sort of brief delay before he is allowed to shoot. So you can't hear it, but I'm holding the sort of shoot key before I actually aim, like as I aim down sights. But you can't shoot until it's ready. Even from hip fire, you have to wait for the charge up to, you know, fully build up before you can start shooting. But the benefits of it being sort of this hit scan, is it hit scan? It's like a mix of the two. It's like it only goes so far. Like as you can see like the what do you call it? Light reflected, or the light moving onto the wall there. It only goes so far, but it is a hit scan for whatever it hits. Well, sorta, kinda. It's a hit scan, but it's not a hit scan. But the benefit of having this laser is not only it can do, you know, it's fine enough as an actual weapon, does decent enough damage, but it's mostly useful for when you're attempting to secure souls from, say, minions, because you can shoot just the minion a bunch and then just flick it. you can flick it. You are able to capture souls better than like 99% of the characters in the game, because funny enough, not really that many characters have hit scan weapons. Even like someone, say, like, just as an example, someone like Holiday, her bullets have travel time. They are projectiles in a sense. They have to go a distance before they reach their target. Bebop's laser, as you can see, is just instant. It's immediately there. So yeah, he has the benefit of having a weapon that's very good in the early game because he's able to secure souls quite easily. But with his actual gun out of their way, we have his 4 abilities, starting off with the Exploding Uppercut, which does melee damage to nearby enemies and applies knockback, which, you know, self-explanatory, knocks them back. When they land from the knockback, it does spirit damage and applies reduced fire rate to other enemies. And as you can see in that sort of grayed out text, Exploding Uppercut can be used on allies. And to show what it does, bang. You sort of uppercut them, they go a distance, and then... Oh wait, I should have turned on infinite cooldowns. Whoopsies. So yeah, you can kind of just uppercut them, and then slam, and then you can see like the arrows showing that they have the reduced fire rate. Also, good thing to note is that you don't have to be directly facing the enemy. Like there's sort of like a small AoE cone in front of you. Hell, I think you can even get people from behind you because of the AoE. But yeah, upon its upgrades though, by the way, its cooldown is 21 seconds to begin with. That gave me a little chuckle actually. I'm going to hide the chuckle, but I did chuckle a little bit. Its first upgrade, you reduce the cooldown by 10.5 seconds, making it 10.5 seconds. On a second upgrade, you get faster spin-up time and 2 times the weapon range and 40% weapon damage for 9 seconds if you hit a hero. So just an example, you immediately have your weapon at the ready. Shoots, I think its range, yeah, look, its range is way longer. And you can tell because of the red aura on it. And at final, on the final upgrade, on hero hit, set your grapple arm cooldown to 0 and add 100% bullets to your current clip. So, although it would be hard to, if I turn off cooldowns, right? And so use the grapple arm, 23 seconds, uppercut, resets the cooldown for the grapple arm, and also gives you, you know, like a bunch of extra, as it said, bunch of, it fully reloads your clip as well. Wait, no, does it stack? I might be tripping. Anyways, with that's what his uppercut does. With that said, we move on to his second ability, which is his bread and butter. This is the most important ability in his entire kit, I would argue. His sticky bombs. Attach a bomb that explodes to an enemy after a delay. Explodes to an enemy? Attach a bomb that explodes after a delay, dealing spirit damage to nearby enemies. If the bomb hits or kills a hero, you gain permanent bonus damage on the sticky bomb. You can also hold the middle mouse button to attach the sticky bomb to yourself. Its fuse time is 3 seconds, it is on a 18-second cooldown, and does, you know, the damage that it does right there. This is how it works. So when you're in range to put the sticky bomb on, you'll see the little icon, put it on them. Bang. Simple as that, right? You put it on them, has a set of AoE cone, shows when it's about to go off, and of course you have the sound cue as well. And as you can see here, there is now a little +3. So if I stick the bomb on him again, and then it goes off, it goes to +4, because that is the stacking damage going higher and higher. This ability is his bread and butter. Like, genuinely, all of his damage in, like, in most, like, 98% of his builds, all of his damage is going to be coming from the sticky bomb. Like, all of it. And late in game, he can be just absurdly just annoying. Just unbelievably annoying. Because he puts one bomb on you, and you lose half your health. Like, because once the bomb's on, you can't get it off, to my knowledge. There's probably a item you can buy to cleanse yourself of it, of something, but for the most part, the bomb, once it's on you, you are going to take a lot of damage. You can also stick the bomb to allies, which acts the exact same, but of course, it doesn't hurt them. And as I said, you can stick it onto yourself and blow them up. Simple as that, right? Now, the first upgrade reduces the cooldown to 10 seconds from 18. The second upgrade increases its damage by 70. And on its fifth upgrade, it reduces the enemy's attached outgoing damage by 30% for 5 seconds, which is shown by that sort of downwards arrow thing. Now, we move on to the third ability, known as the grapple arm, which looks like this. Pulls you towards, or pulls them towards you, which I think you can also use it on allies. Also, actually, before I move on to fully talking about the grapple arm, you can put bombs onto minions, and a common thing to do in lane, put a bomb on them, and oh, I missed. Let me try that again. So you can put a bomb on a minion, and then uppercut them into the enemies to deal damage. I feel like I should mention that is a very common thing to do in, you know, like in lane. But going back to the grapple arm, by the way, that also applies to, you know, other heroes and stuff. But going back to the grapple arm, it obviously pulls them in and has a cast range of 30 meters, which is relatively long for this game. Like, it's a decent distance. On its first upgrade, you do extra weapon damage against victims. Victims? They call it victims. I didn't even know that. Extra weapon damage against victims for 6 seconds. On the second upgrade, you get another 30 meters to the cast range. And on its fifth or third upgrade, its cooldown goes to 1.15 seconds. Yeah, the range for it is kind of insane. Like, see the enemy all the way over there. Yoinked. Yeah. Oh, right. Just going to knock it towards that. Now, I'll move on to his fourth ability soon enough. But I need to mention this. This is one of the easiest heroes to play in the entire game. And do you want to know why? It's even written on this menu. I'm sure you've noticed it. Hook, bomb, punch. Hook, bomb, punch. That combo is his bread and butter. It is how you're going to do nearly all of his damage all the time. Outside of, you know, certain scenarios where, say, an enemy rushes you first and you don't get to hook them. Say something's on cooldown. I'm not kidding when I say this. This is Bebop's gameplay loop through and through. Hook, bomb, punch. You just Do that, and you will delete health bars unlike anything you've ever seen. Seriously, Bebop's output, like burst damage wise, is insanely high. Like, you can get some serious damage numbers. Like, this is the build that I've used in the video, that, like, in the B-roll footage in the background, or I think it is, at least. Either way, even if it isn't, one of the best items to use on Bebop is called Echo Shard, because what this does is that you can pull an enemy, bomb them, press Echo Shard, and put 2 bombs on them. And then, you know, if your bombs are, like, deleting people anyways, what will 2 bombs do? Oh, it will kill them. Like, this is he's one of the easiest characters to play, but the amount of damage he puts out for his ease of use is insane. Like, I played a game the other day where I was playing as Holiday. There was just this one Bebop who was my absolute nightmare. He would grab me from God knows where, and I'd just die. I literally could not do anything about it. If he lands the hook, he's basically getting free damage. He will half your health, if not more, just because he landed one ability. He's absurdly easy to play, and absurdly strong at that. And he is, I would argue, the best character for new beginner players to play, because his bread and butter combo of hook, bomb, punch is so simple. It's so easy. And even if you don't kill, here's the little bit where we move on to the 4th ability, the Hyper Beam. The Hyper Beam can be used to very easily secure kills if your bombs don't do the trick. And for reference, Hyper Beam looks like this. It's a big ass purple laser that you can control. It has an AoE around its point of impact, and as you can see, you are able to walk during it very slowly, and you can press space at any time to cancel it. You can also use it in the air, where you are able to slowly sort of move around and laser things, etc, etc. Now, in a normal game, say you do the hook, you do the bomb, punch, say they're not dead or they're low, you can just laser beam them, and then they die. It's very hard to avoid this, besides, like, you know, running into out of line of sight of Bebop and the such. Like, his combo is just so unbelievably simple, but he can just do so much damage. Like, unbelievable amounts of damage. And quick reminder, every bomb you stick and every bomb that kills someone, you get extra permanent bonus damage on it. So as the game goes on, you're just going to be doing more and more and more damage. Like, he's good in the early game because of his ease of use with his laser beam and securing souls and such. He's able to apply pressure by bombing a minion and then punching it into the enemy's, like, you know, area. And then in late game, if you've been doing the 1-2 combo or 1-3 combo, you're going to be great in late game as well, because you're just going to be bombing the shit out of everyone. And the Hyper Beam doesn't even need to be used to, like, you know, secure kills. You can just use it in team fights and it will just do absurd amounts of damage as well. But anyways, actually speaking of the specifics, its cooldown is 114 seconds, and its first upgrade makes it so its cooldown is reduced by 25, dropping it to 90 seconds. Its second upgrade increases its damage to 346 per second, and its third upgrade gives it lifesteal. So even if you are being shot at whilst you hyper beam, there is a chance that you're able to just kind of, you know, live it, because you're a sitting duck when you do it. So the extra healing allows you to kind of like keep yourself going even when, you know, being attacked and the such. Fun fact actually about the hyper beam, you won't be able to hear it, but when you're playing it, there's like a weird like wibbly wobbly warpy sound. I don't know how to explain it. It sounds like someone mashing their head against a keyboard. Yeah, apparently that was intentional. Apparently that's a reference to jazz music in some way, shape or form. I read it on the wiki. How true is that? Who knows? I don't know how true it may be, but it sounds, you know, reasonable enough, and it kind of sounds like I listened to the audio sound effect. It sounds like, you know, the jazz that they referenced on the wiki, blah blah blah. But yeah, Bebop is absurdly simple to play. Like, seriously, I can't stress enough how easy this character is. Like, there is probably some complexity to him, blah blah blah, but when the easiest and most potent combo is hook, bomb, punch, why would you do anything else? Like, I'm sure there are builds, like if we go to the build browser, there is, you know, a gun Bebop build. There's also that build. That's certainly the build of all time. Like a gun spirit hybrid build. But why would you do that when you can just bomb them? Like, you can just, like, why did the build just change immediately? Like, if I just buy a bunch of these items, right? I should have probably, it doesn't even matter. Watch. Hook, bomb, echo, bomb, bomb. Look at that damage. Even if the enemy is, like, healing themselves, like, think in a normal game, that's just gonna, you do too much damage for the ease of use when it comes to this character. Yeah, like, to round out this gameplay segment, he's incredibly easy to play, and if any of you want to get into Deadlock, I would personally suggest starting with Bebop. I would argue he's the most beginner-friendly character in this game, outside of, say, like, Dynamo. I think Dynamo's pretty easy to understand and play as well. Abrams, although he's kind of the face of the game, like the pseudo-protagonist, I would argue that Abrams isn't particularly easy to play, because a lot of his quirks and mechanics come from understanding when to melee, when to heavy melee, how to bait out parries and stuff like that. Like, he looks simple on paper, but he has, you know, complexities with how melee just works in this game. But yeah, I would argue, like, Bebop is, like, the easiest character to play as in this game. Obviously, there is stuff that separates a good Bebop from a great Bebop, but I feel like anyone can kind of just be good at Bebop, just because of how simple he is. But with the gameplay segment done and dusted, I would like to now spawn in a puppet of Bebop to allow us to look at his design, because this is an easy way for me to sort of walk around and look at the design. I will swap characters though to remove the bomb icon off of Bebop, so I don't get, like, you know, it doesn't cover up any bits and pieces of him. But Bebop, for those that don't know, is kind of a relic of what Deadlock originally was meant to be. For those that don't know, Deadlock was originally meant to be a game called Neon Prime, which would have been relatively similar, but the aesthetics of the game were going to be more like futuristic, a bit more spacey themed. Think like Guardians of the Galaxy-esque in aesthetics. And Bebop was one of the few characters we actually knew, like, what he looked like from Neon Prime. And he looks relatively similar to that original design, except, of course, he has been modified to look a bit more scrappy, which is obviously what his design is. A scrap golem isn't just like a word that people are throwing out, it is what he is. He's made up of different colored bits and pieces of metal. I mean, he's wearing trousers that are like, what are those? They're kind of like Japanese samurai trousers. I mean, the patches like here kind of look like the sort of armor that samurais would wear around their waist. I could be tripping, of course, and I'm sure someone will correct me otherwise. He's got like a sort of flask on, like they look like flasks, like two flasks on his back. He's even wearing like beads around it. He's wearing, they're not sandals, right? But why is he wearing why is he wearing like flip-flops? I didn't even notice that. But yeah, like he's cool. I like Bebop's design quite a lot. Of course, a lot of it has to do with, you know, the sort of like the kind of what's the word, like mismatched kind of look to him, like having this one huge arm with like a wrecking ball on the end of it, which funny enough has like a pool number on it for some reason, and then having the smaller arm that turns into a laser gun. That's cool. I'm fond of like scrappy mismatched robots. One of my favorite films as a kid was Real Steel. I know, obscure movie reference, I know, but Bebop has a lot of Real Steel vibes to him. There was a character in Real Steel, or a robot, called Metro, and Metro was kind of like this, you know, scrap golem. He was made up of different bits and pieces of, you know, scrap and different metals. I swear he had like a car plate for a body or something. And Bebop has a very similar vibe to him, but of course with, you know, Deadlock's aesthetics in mind. Yeah, I really like Bebop's sort of design. I like his just scrappy, mismatched, miscolored look to him. I am very fond of the giant arm. And I do find it rather ironic that with that giant arm in mind, he isn't actually a melee character. Like, you would think that someone with an arm that massive would be a melee character, but as I just demonstrated a few moments ago, he is a spirit damage character with a lot of stuff riding on the sticky bombs and making them work. But yeah, you understand what I mean, right? Like, hell, even if I mentioned this in the Abrams video, if you check Bebop's stats, he does 63 light melee damage, whereas Abrams, the melee character, like he's designed to do melee, does 50 light melee damage. I just thought that was a weird little funny coincidence. He just kind of does more melee damage, but doesn't really do melee damage, which is weird. But yeah, I like Bebop's design quite a lot. It's simple it's a simple, like, you know, scrappy robot design, but it works and it fits into Deadlock's overall aesthetics, though he is of course akin to, say, someone like Yamato, a relic of what this game was originally meant to be. A sort of Japanese-esque inspired futuristic Guardians of the Galaxy-esque MOBA shooter, until they switched to the sort of 1950s detective noir feel that the game now has. But yeah, I like Bebop's design quite a lot. I don't have like super in-depth critiques for it, but I like it. He's cool. I like him personality-wise. I really like him. Voice-wise, I like him a lot because, you know, he's vaguely British and I am British as well. I know, scary shit. Yeah, I would be terrified if I was you. But yeah, I like Bebop a lot. And with that said, we are at the end of the video. As I said in the beginning, if you wish to play Deadlock or try it out, I am more than open to giving out codes to it. Please do keep in mind though, I first actually have to log on to Steam and add you as a friend, but I also do there is a 1 to 2 day waiting period before an invite to Deadlock fully sends. I believe it will pop up in your whatever email you have attached to your Steam account. But yeah, that's the end of the video. I really like Bebop as a whole, and the next video in this actually, like, comment, and subscribe if you made it this far. I do appreciate the support as always, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, whether that be a good evening, afternoon, or morning. And the next video in this series will be on one of the newcomers, a character that I have a lot to say about and I don't feel particularly super duper positive about in a personality standpoint. That being none other than the punk rocker, quote unquote, Billy.